we're back. And wetter than ever. I don't know what that means.
I feel pretty dry.
Talking about RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars 9, Episode 7, Meeting in the Ladies' Room. You're the sniper, girl. I don't know. I was like, I can't even try and think of new lyrics. I just always have the same old lyric. I need to write more lyrics. Anyway, he's coming to us from Hollywood, CA. He's the one with the laugh. He's the one with the intelligence. But you know, I saw this Challenger. Have you seen this Challenger, Roberto?
I have not, actually.
I'm sure you're well aware that. I'm sure you're well aware that a big chunk of it takes place at Stanford.
Allegedly, but several of my former classmates have told me that they did not do a moment of filming on campus.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if that was, because there was one part where they were in this beautiful, like, what do they used to call the place where you eat?
The dining hall?
Oh, the dining hall, but I feel they had another name when I was at UCI.
The mess hall?
This beautiful dining hall at one point. I was like, is that how beautiful Stanford's dining hall is?
Well, I will say that Stanford's dining halls, well, the newer ones when I was there, which they're not new anymore, they were a sight to behold for sure. But I think that's expected. The food? It was pretty good, but I only ate dining hall food my first year and a little bit my second year. And then after that, you know, you figure something else out.
Yeah. So, I don't even know why I brought that up.
Me neither, except that you love to work it into every conversation we have.
No, because I was actually thinking the other day, we haven't brought up Stanford in a long time.
I know, it's been lovely, clear skies. It's just so peaceful over here.
You're the one that brings it up all the time. By the way.
I have never once. Get me a voice rollback. Just give me any evidence. Be
very easy to do.
Any evidence of me bringing it up that's not AI.
Josito, you know I went to Stanford, right?
See, there you go, Robert.
You know, Ruta Lee was in class with me.
What are your thoughts on Ruta Lee visiting? Are you over it? Give your honest opinion.
I think that I'm so happy that Ruta Lee's entered just the gay zeitgeist, because I think that she's encapsulates everything that's funny and camp and silly about a certain generation of icons long dead, but she's still alive. So I love her. I love her guest spots on the recap as well.
This is making me think maybe they switched the episodes, because wouldn't she have been more appropriate on this one?
Probably. Yeah, that makes sense. But it's not like Colton Haynes would have been delivering good comedic feedback. So
I know you're not going to mind, but I was really annoyed that when I look at my Paramount Plus, you know, the little bar or whatever, it's just the episodes.
The thumbnail?
The thumbnails. There's all these different scenes, and then you get to his, and it's just stupid Colton Haynes and his dumb face.
I saw the same thing and thought the same thing. I don't think he has a dumb face, but...
Not only, like, literally dumb, but just, like, the first, like... I was like, is Queerty now running the thumbnails on Paramount Plus? You know, I'm not going to say who, but somebody I know sent me yet another Queerty article, and it was, what did it say? They sent it to me today, actually, and they were like, it says, I have it right here. This was an actual article in this Queerty. 17 times Gus Kenworthy's hairy chest had everyone completely hypnotized.
Well, I did worry that the BuzzFeed style reporting was, you know, a remnant of the past, but clearly Queerty is keeping it going.
Like, but here's the deal. Like, there are hotter gay men who've accomplished more. Why Gus Kenworthy?
Honestly, girl, it sounds so obvious. It's annoying to even say it. It's because so many gays have never given up on their like gay bully / jock fantasy. And they, especially with like burly white gays, and they need it. The media cycle needs it because that's what they'll indulge. Not at all.
Gus Kenworthy?
No, we talked about it before.
Yeah, like I said, look, I'm all for thirst traps. Don't get me wrong, right? But I just don't understand the Gus Kenworthy one.
Whatever happened to all the adoration for Matt Bomer? Because he was the sterling example of a man's man who happened to be gay, you know?
I'll be honest with you. Because we're on a public feed, I'm not going to say who it is, but people who listen will know who I'm talking about, was telling me the other day all these different gay roles that are on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much everyone has Matt Bomer attached.
Well, that makes sense, but he's too busy crying about not being able to be Superman.
I know, but now he's in this Golden Girls thing. There's some other project on the horizon, and he wants to have that role. And they're looking at him and like, there are other gay actors besides Matt Bomer.
Yeah, there's
It's
Jonathan
like,
Bailey. He's in everything now too.
Yeah, but it's like, you know what it reminds me of? You don't see this much anymore, but like 20 years ago, after Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, there was only one. There were two Asian people, Michelle Yeoh and Chow Yun-fat, and that was it.
Yep, and that's I forgot about Chow Yun-fat, but yes.
Yeah, and it's just like the Hollywood, which is full of homosexuals, by the way, not full of Asians. So even though I don't agree with it, I could sort of see the being that obtuse, right? But it's full of homosexuals, and it's why is it the same guy?
Because
Tell me, Robert.
Because he's masculine presenting.
But there aren't other masculine presenting gay guys?
Well, you know what? I think actually one of the more recent, if you want to say up and coming gay actors who's sort of stolen Colton Haynes' niche and maybe possibly Matt Bomer's in time is what's his name? He was in Fire Island, and he was on this one show. I think it was called Unglamorous. He's a very, very well built white man. I can't remember his fucking name.
But you know, I saw this tweet that doesn't apply to this, but does apply. And it was talking about how when the original Jurassic Park came out.
Oh, tell me.
Did you see this?
No, but I love Jurassic Park.
You do? So why do the gay? Because so does Evan Ayers, our former co-host. He's like obsessed with it.
Well, I mean, I don't know who doesn't want to dress in a cowboy hat and bandana, but beyond the Alan Grant fashion choices, I just love the movie.
But that's the point that they were making is, 20 some odd years ago when Jurassic Park came out, they had no problem casting a middle-aged whatever body guy.
Sam Neill's kind of hot.
No, not that he wasn't hot, but like in other words, he had like a fit but middle-aged man's body, right?
Sure, yeah.
And I guess there's a new Jurassic Park coming out, and they showed and everybody in it is fucking just jacked, and it's like looking at Robert's Instagram. And
as fucking if. I read that they were going to possibly do a crossover between Jurassic Park and Fast and the Furious. Maybe that's what you were seeing photos for.
I don't know anything about it.
I don't know anything about it either because I've never seen a Fast and the Furious movie. But
you know what? People told me this, and I didn't believe them, and it's true. The first one is actually quite good.
I feel like you could say that about a lot of movies.
Yes, I've never seen. I may have seen two, but the first one is actually quite good. It's very good, actually. Yeah, believe it or not, I know.
Well, I have a long-standing war with movies that seem to promote toxic masculinity. So,
Paul Walker, does he do it for you?
Not really. No, he's just there. Just another boy next door who my sister can be into him, but I don't care.
Interesting. All right.
Yep.
Well, why don't we do this? Oh, really quickly. Let me plug this.
I really wanted to talk about Drag Race today.
We're going to talk about Drag Race. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back and talk about Drag Race. But before we do, everyone, please, I'm not even begging you because you're doing me a favor, which you are. I'm doing you a favor. The tea is so fucking hilarious. I've been now, because I've made this public feed and all this stuff, I've been going through and like listening to random episodes, and I'm chuckling to myself but not because I think I'm so funny. First of all, Lori's the funny one on the show, and two, I have a bad memory, so it's like listening to 300 people talk. So I will laugh at the things that Jay and Lori say, and it is just a very, very, very funny, gay, pop culture, friends being funny chat show. And so again, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever podcast. I will put the links again in the show notes. Also, if you're a Patreon supporter, you have access to all the bonus content. There were tons of bonus content. There's a lost season. That's all there. In fact, I just made it a couple days ago. There's 17 episodes of bonus content, full episodes. And so it's all there. And pretty soon you'll start hearing promos about this on our show and in Drag Race Recap and on the T. If you don't want to join Patreon, you can buy access to that folder coming very, very, very soon this week for sure. So go to the T. It's fantastic. It's funny. Robert, you've listened to the T, but you're not a regular listener yet.
Yeah, not a super regular listener. And honestly, I owe Jay a text. I need to text that boy back. Thank you for reminding me.
About what?
Final Fantasy VII and stuff.
Oh. All right. And by the way, Sloppy to Poppy drops tomorrow, Tuesday. Oh, it'll be yesterday for public feed.
When do I make my Patreon personal trainer appearance on the Sloppy to Poppy?
You will? When?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Do you want to be on from Sloppy to Poppy?
Yeah, I want to wear a cutoff shirt like the short, cute guy in Broad City who, like, I think was one of the girls' bosses. I want to do like that.
You know, it's funny that you say that because I do have a policy, because it's called From Sloppy to Poppy, that anybody I have on the show will only be Latino.
Oh, well, you know, I despise the term poppy. It's an instant block.
But it rhymes with sloppy.
Sort of.
So I'm only going to have Latinos on there. And I talked to Christian about this, and I got a 45-minute lecture that made no sense to me about how he invented this new workout strategy. And I was like, oh. And then literally was talking to Jay and dropped the same workout strategy. And I was like, wait, Christian didn't invent this? He goes, no.
Christian invented Pilates, didn't you know?
No, he said he invented like that instead everybody in the world does like upper and lower body.
Well, push and pull.
Yes. He's told you about this?
No, I talked to you about push and pull on Fat Camp a couple weeks ago.
Oh. Well, I have a bad memory because Christian brought it up and he said he invented it.
Well, that's camp.
Yeah. And now I'm going to get a phone call or text message. Doll, I'm really worried about you. I think you have Alzheimer's. I never said I invented push and pull. I'm like, okay. All right. Well, we'll be back right after. And we will talk about Drag Race.
Yes, thank God.
Okay. We are back. And as promised, I'm not going to go on any tangents. I'm just going to literally jump into Drag Race. Okay?
Well, we'll try.
Yeah, All Stars 9, Episode 7, titled Meeting in the Ladies' Room. Once again, a puzzle as to why they didn't use the song Meeting in the Ladies' Room.
Lovely song.
Yeah. And which I believe Stacey Lane Matthews crushed, right?
Yeah, she did.
Go ahead. What were you going to say, Robert?
What is a meeting in the ladies' room?
I think it means you're going to go beat a bitch up, right?
Oh, okay. I thought that everyone is going in the room to do bumps of K.
Oh.
Or other powders of their choice.
Okay, now I have to look up the lyrics. Hold on.
Yeah, I've never really listened to the lyrics.
I remember is
it was used on Pose, I remember.
Room. Be back real soon. There we go.
Uh-oh. I had to leave my condo to come to this? Well, I'm back, but this time I'm with my man. And these women are putting their hands all over his Yamamoto Kansai sweater that I bought. And I'm much, much unhappy about that. I'd hate to come down to their level and become a BW. A basic woman, but if they don't stop, it's gonna get scandalous. I don't need this. That's what I get for being in the neighborhood. Where's my jewelry? Can we talk?
Oh, there's a whole story.
I mean, Pass Me a Mirror is giving blow, but whatever.
Okay, so before I get into the little topics that I want to talk to you specifically about, did you have any topics you wanted to talk about after watching this episode, after hearing the podcast? which I assume you did. Any thoughts here?
So I'm all caught up on the litany of mediums that I have to be to speak with you today. And really the only thing that's not a reaction to something that was said is that, did you notice that John Pauly got slapped in that compilation that RuPaul had? I didn't know he worked on the show. I did see David Petruccian get slapped as well.
Wait, you didn't know John Pauly worked on the show?
No, I remember the extra lap, but I didn't know that he was a crew member. Now I know because I looked it up. I was like, why the fuck was John Pauly? I had no idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're the one who knows the writers.
Robert, I don't know if you know this. From like season 6 through like 11, I went to every finale.
I've heard rumors.
And he would always be there walking around with a little clipboard.
Okay. Well, I was only at the 8 one, and I was keyking, so.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts? By the way, there's a private feed for the hosts of Afterthought, and they get every show. And last week, like last Monday night, we record on Monday evenings. I dropped like 11 shows in there, like so much content in that folder.
True.
And then next day.
Oh, you're so nasty.
Little Robert Mata.
I can't do anything.
I was doing something too. I don't remember. I might have been at Disneyland.
Oh, well, that's
no,
3 nights out of the week.
I wasn't at Disneyland. True. I wasn't at Disneyland. I was doing something though. And I went to the movies. I went to go see, what did I go see? Like, I went to go see something in the middle of the day.
Girl, it was like 10 a.m.
Girl, movies play all the time.
That's
anyway,
true.
I get a text message from Robert. I'm going to the gym. Can you put the episode in? It was easy to move in there. But I was like, there's so much content in there already. And you know it was on this show. You were there.
Well, I have to listen back to myself and critique every little word that I get incorrect.
Yeah, I'll tell you
like
what it is.
Earlier, I should have said relic of the past, but I said remnant. So I have to beat myself up about that tomorrow.
I did notice that, but unlike you, I don't clock it.
Well, I clock it. I just, it's made me a lot more understanding of like in Drag Race confessionals, they're constantly saying or just like really fucking up. I'm doing it now. What are they fucking called? Phrases of speech, whatever they're called. Just constantly, like not even like on my alley stuff, but just like, and it's not even taken for humor. But now I understand. You only get one shot to say it correctly. Unfortunately,
Robert knows this, but you guys don't know this. For some reason, there's something up with Robert's microphone and connection. This is true all the time. Where like when I talk, if he talks, I don't hear him. So if you guys ever think I'm being a dick and ignoring Robert, I'm not. I just don't hear him if he's talking. I'm talking. So when I was listening to the edit, I hear I go, oh, he said what an interesting point he made or something. Last week I was editing and I said something, and I just heard nor. I guess I said either or, neither or. I don't know what I said. I don't remember. But
you said it correctly.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, and I was celebrating the fact that you said it correctly.
Oh, I just heard nor.
It's just such an SAT tutor thing to do. Neither nor, either or.
Yeah. You know what bothers me SAT tutor wise that people say all the time is like amount versus number.
Okay.
So the rule technically is amount is something that you can't count, and number is for things you can count. So, like, in other words, I got a huge number of likes on my TikTok, right? Because you can count the number of likes.
Okay.
I have a huge amount of love for you, Robert. Right?
Okay.
You wouldn't say I have a number of love, a huge number of love. So, but people do say, like, oh, I got a huge amount of likes. And it's like literally like nails on a chalkboard to my life as an SAT tutor.
No one ever taught me that, but thank you.
Oh, there's another one too that's like it's the same rule. Anyway, Gottmik. Let's talk about Gottmik.
Yeah.
You know, there was a little bit of controversy that we talked about on the show, and since it was a lip sync, about whether Angeria should have chosen Gottmik rather than Plastique, as we all predicted. Did you have any strong thoughts on that, or any speculation as to why Angeria chose Gottmik over Plastique?
Well, Plastique's reasoning was rock solid. That's the strategy that I would think to do. It's what I do when I play Mario Party with my sisters and cousins. I'm like, hell no, bitch. I don't give a fuck who's in runaway first place, even though it's usually me. I'm going for the bitches with only 1 star because, push yourself forward. But
would that same strategy work on a Mario Kart?
I mean, even in Mario Party, it's a little different from Drag Race because in Drag Race, you basically want to be in the upper half of the cast to be in the top final 4 here. So there are more spots up for grabs, whereas really the only person who gets bragging rights in Mario Kart or Party are the outright winners. So I guess it's a little different.
I saw there was someone on Reddit who did a mathematical model on this.
Okay.
That proved Plastique's point. And I still hold, though, that I don't think mathematical models work in this environment. I really do think it does take some sort of like, well, and it could still be Plastique's theory, but you still have to take into account what is theoretically the next episode going to be.
I heard your take on that on the original or the regular recap. And I personally, because fashion challenges are so randomly assigned, I would not have expected a fashion challenge to be next.
But it seems, I see what you're saying. So this is where you can get into the real nitty gritty. Yes, they are randomly assigned most of the time. And in fact, it seems every year there's fewer and fewer.
But some years there are tons. It's really, really, really confusing.
But this year this season, All Stars 9, it does seem to be some sort of rough pattern where there's like a comedy and acting of fashion. Comedy and acting of fashion. So, I don't know.
Maybe they're putting out breadcrumbs for the girls to figure out. It's like the clock in Catching Fire.
I wish they were that smart. It's like, I remember coming home from, I went to the finale of season 7. And I remember I came on the show and I was like, guys, they're playing deep. They're playing 4D chess there. They're trying everyone in the audience to think that Violet won. And because when they filmed the 3 endings, like they couldn't have given less attention to Pearl and the frog, whatever. What's her name again? Ginger Minge.
The frog is what you came up with?
Yeah. Well, doesn't she call herself? Or something a toad or something?
I guess the glamour toad, yeah.
Yeah, the glamour toad. Like, it really was like, oh, the winner's Ginger. Okay, yay, everyone. Okay, and then with Violet, it was this whole production. Which, and I think with the other two, she didn't even say, like, the farewell, right? Yeah. So I was like, oh, they're fucking with us. They're fucking with us. But no, it was Violet.
Nope.
I still think they fucked up. And they were like, well, we have to do Violet because we didn't film the other two.
But the fan reception to Ginger was so awful at the time. Not that it's gotten a ton better, but at least she's not the public enemy number 1 anymore.
Which is weird because she was Katya's best friend, so you would think
she wasn't yet,
love,
though.
Yeah, that
she
love
said that was a showmance that wasn't actually on stage.
Yeah,
they might have smoking a cigarette together or two and Untucked, as far as we saw.
Yeah. Okay, so no thoughts on with the Gottmik thing, yeah.
Yeah, so I probably would have gone with Plastique, really because of her own logic. But I going with Gottmik, I know that you are not a fan of Gottmik's array of talents, and have said so on nearly every episode this season. All right, well that's something. I would think that Gottmik's a better choice because she's more of an all-rounder than Plastique is. Plastique cannot wait to tell you how bad she is at everything and then not actually like put much effort in and then still get rewarded. Whereas Gottmik is, obviously she did not do great in the plagiarized roast and she's in her feelings about a number of things. But even at the beginning of the season, I feel like she was more or less the front runner.
Yes.
And I would therefore think that she's going to excel in any sort of challenge that gets thrown her way next. And even if she's not maybe naturally funny, she'll at least have pre-written jokes prepared, and that means she'd probably win, and that means she's a good choice to slash.
Well, it was a good choice because now we found out it's a fashion challenge.
Yeah. But like you said, that would have been the same for Plastique.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be nice if the snip actually means something, but I do hope they don't spend like 20, 30 minutes like in next week's episode just rolling around and around about like, oh, I'm so full of ennui because I just got snipped and I wanted to win this fashion challenge and I've been in the down in the dumps lately because I got caught, or I guess she didn't get caught yet, but because I stole a whole set and I'm feeling guilty about it and I didn't perform as well as I did on season 13 and blah, blah, blah. Like I don't need a whole episode being about Gottmik, especially because as a person, I'm not interested by her.
Well, fasten your safety belt because you're going to get that. I also want to talk about a couple this. I'm going in a random order because there's some bigger topics I want to keep for later. I also talked about Evange's confessionals, and that the more I'm seeing Evange this season, the more she seems very dark and sad, and she's trying to put on a mask. Your thoughts?
I didn't take it that far, but I did say, I think in the season or episode 2 recap that I did with you, that Evange's even more put on than usual this season, and it's felt a little grating. But as time goes on, I think I'm doing my good old contrarian thing, and I'm turning the opposite. I'm actually enjoying her more because she's just, her Showgirls homage was completely nonsensical, but I thought it was funny. So I had a good time with her this episode. And I think I'm going to have to watch the next couple episodes with a little bit more of a eagle-eyed perspective on it, because I don't see the dark, sad, depressed person that you're seeing on TV.
Well, I don't see it. I'm just doing it based on things that I know of people who act like that tend to be very dark.
Sure.
Behind the scenes. But
it's like Taylor said, I think that almost all the drag queens can attest to that.
True. And there's also stories like, there's always some sort of Reddit thread like which queens are mean, and it's always like Evie and Vanjie and like.
Well, people have a specific bone to pick with Vanjie ever since she was in Puerto Vallarta during COVID with Silky and Shangela. Right. So I think for a lot of people, they just haven't forgotten that really blasé way of treating lockdown. Okay,
so let's talk about the next topic. I sent Robert, I was driving somewhere, and I go, I need to send Robert this note, make sure we talk about this. And I think all it said was Latino emotional constitutions. Or Mexican emotional constitutions?
What did you say, Latino?
Robert? Oh, Latino. Okay. So we did this whole discussion where I said, I was sort of apologizing for Roxy by saying that, as much as I want to criticize Roxy, I realize that I'm always on as much of an emotional roller coaster, and I can be such a fucking cunt when I need to be or want to be or feel like being. And I think that when I started to think about it more and more, and I was like, we as Latinos, this is what I want to get from you, because you're kind of like, you don't know this, Robert, but like your nickname is Robot instead of Robert.
Rude.
So, like, we just feel more. We just feel so much. Even Christian, who doesn't usually go on the other side, I mean, we all know he's extra. He just feels so much, and that's whatever he feels, And even you, Robert, you said, you have said in the past, and this is a feature of yourself you don't like, that when you break up with somebody, you kind of tend to go scorched earth. And I know it's something you're trying to fix.
Not really. I fuck my last ex. I could not be any less interested in talking with him. If you're listening, stop listening. I told you not to listen.
So here's the thing. It's funny that you have this opinion, because I know the same is true. I have multiple people, whether they're romantic exes or friendship exes, who eventually do the same thing too. And I'm like, I see it as how do I put it? Like, I don't have the words. I don't have the words, where I just know that, you miss me. I don't know how to really say it. Like, there's like a sort of satisfaction I get from that.
Well, yeah, because look, this is a very immature thing to say, but I think that a lot of people experience this in varying levels of intensity. But the reality is that breakups are a competition with yourself and with the ghost of your ex, and it's about feeling and doing better. And in a situation where someone is making it known that they miss you, you obviously feel at that time that you're winning the game.
Well, yeah, it's a way to live rent-free in their head.
Well,
one-sided, and I'm not even trying.
Well, the reason why, it's one of the major reasons why I don't really communicate with my exes or ex-friends is because I don't enjoy playing the game. There's no need for it. It's literally, like I said, it's immature and childish and stupid, and it's a waste of everyone's time and emotional energy. Should be focusing on building yourself up and doing things for yourself, not for this invisible, false, abstract person that you used to talk to. Who cares? Shouldn't be getting back with them anyway.
I have a more kind way of looking at it. Would it bother you? Maybe, I mean, okay, I'm sure this is the case. Any of your, and it's not this particular ex, but many of your exes, I'm sure, have some sort of digital remnant of you that they could use for inspiration, maybe when they're trying to go to sleep or something.
What?
They have nudes of you that they can jack off to.
Oh, okay. Fewer than you might think, but yeah.
Okay. Does that bother you? So how is this any different?
No, not at all. I as I've told my parents, if my nudes get leaked when I'm running for public office, I'm pretty sure I'll just get more votes.
Oh, I've thought about this. It's funny that you say that. I've thought about this. That if anything like that ever happened, I would go out there and fucking just own it.
It's time for someone to do that, I think. Yes, maybe in like 10, 20 years, but once OnlyFans is, in the culture surrounding it is in Twitter as well. I realize obviously the pendulum swinging in terms of like sexual, I don't know, just pearl clutching, but I don't know. It's going to have to, like, a lot more sex scandals should be happening. Actually, we haven't had a good old American style sex scandal in a while, now that I think about it.
Yeah, if Anthony
I don't
Weiner
count Hunter Biden and Trump.
Oh, who cares about him? Like, even going on non-salacious stuff, I'm always like, because we have fucking decrepit Joe Biden running, like, we need some fresh blood, because what's funny is if you had someone younger and brasher, like, it really isn't that hard to take down Donald Trump in a debate. It really isn't. But Biden's so old school that I'd be very shocked if he gets down in the dirt with him. And you don't even have to get that dirty. Like, if you just literally talk about his small hands or how he fucks prostitutes or whatever, bring up that shit, he will immediately Rumpelstiltskin it and split in two and collapse. Like, it's not that hard. And you don't have to get that dirty, but we don't have anybody who's willing to do that.
Well, I think more often than not, we just have people who are willing to play to the American political theater of it all and not do all of that underhanded, trashy sort of conversation and accusation.
I would.
Unfortunately.
I would do it, and I'd win. Robert, you never gave your thoughts on this whole, like, the emotional constitution of Latinos and whether they feel more.
It's an interesting thing. I guess I wish I was a lot more educated on the subject and could speak to actual sociological studies about it. But I've always very, very lightly and not actually put much thought into this at all. So forgive me for sounding like an idiot. But I've always wondered if that's like a byproduct of, growing up near the equator and just being hot all the time. Like, what's going on?
That is a really good point, because if you go outside of Latin countries, like, and you go to your Mediterranean countries, Italians, the Greeks, and Middle East, all of those countries, you're right. What about in that part of, like, Asia? Are there like super dramatic Chinese people or something? Or
I don't know, and I don't know truly, and I don't know which stereotypes hold true there, but I do know that brown people aren't looked upon fondly there either. So there's always the negative stereotype of, spicy, passionate, fiery Latinos in this case, which is what I can speak to. And I wonder how much that sort of allows everyone to perceive Latinos as maybe being more emotionally intense than they actually are.
Yeah.
If you follow there. Yeah. But then I also wonder, as a Latino who experiences intense emotions, and I hear other Latinos say, "Oh, well, we feel things more than others," or we have this unique experience. And my response to that's really the same as it's been ever since I've looked into any sort of like relative cognitive process. How do you know? You have only ever lived in your body and experienced your emotions and, your intensity of it. How can you say that you feel more than the person sitting right next to you, even if they're communicating the best of their ability to explain how they've experienced emotions? I just don't think that I can comparatively say that I feel more or less than anyone else, and or without like being really like vain about it, or just like kind of being a main character that erases everyone else's experience. Are you following me?
I follow you exactly. And I'm going to say two things to argue with you. And I already know your counter argument to what my second point is, but let me go to my first point first. I have been to white people funerals. And I've been to obviously many Latino funerals. In fact, more recently, more than I would like. And I have never been to a white funeral where people, and I know that black people can do this too, where they're like throwing themselves in the fucking coffin and the whole fucking scene and just histrionics and all kinds of shit. White people, they barely even cry. You know?
Well, theirs does tend to be a culture of quiet dignity a little bit more than Latino cultures.
Yeah, but you know what? And Latinos don't do this. So I recently went to a memorial service. I've talked about this in 3 different places already. And it was a lesbian couple. The one that I knew, she was Mexican, and the wife was black. And so the black family was there, and by the way, it made it the most amazing memorial service I've ever been to. But they took us all to church, okay?
Yeah.
And it made it so much more of a visceral ceremony that like I don't know, it was the most touching, moving, happy, joyful memorial service I've ever been to. I felt all the emotions, laughter, sadness, everything.
Yeah, that sounds transcendent.
So now I want to fight with you.
Okay.
And I'm going to bring this topic up, and I know it's going to lead to a fight. These movies, how many of them have you seen?
I was frightened of this. So I saw Showgirls a couple years ago. Awful film, but it was a great viewing experience.
Oh yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, and I saw it at Cinespia.
Okay, yeah.
So
I
was watching it surrounded by hundreds of other gays who
I think they're
knew
showing
it
it again, or they have shown it again this year.
Oh really? Well, the sex scene in the pool with that kind of audience was raucous. It was such a good time.
Yeah.
I still have yet to watch Mommy Dearest, despite last year's summertime saga about it. I apologize, Deckhead. I apologize, Joe Batanz. I apologize, everyone else, about that. It just has not been the vibe yet. And I've seen a number of episodes of Dynasty, the old one, not the horrid reboot that they did a couple years back.
Yeah.
And the rest of them, I've heard of Valley of the Dolls. I've heard of All About Eve. I've heard about The Boys in the Band, and then the other ones, I could not tell you what the fuck that is.
Well, the only one I had not seen was The Mirror Cracked. And I'm here to tell everybody it's streaming on Amazon Prime, but I'm also here to tell you, don't watch it. It is camp, but it's that camp, and it's pure camp. I mean, that fucking movie is camp. But really, the only scene that's really worth watching is the scene that's already on Instagram. Everything else is just sort of not that interesting.
Okay.
And so if you've seen the scene on Instagram, you don't even need the context. That's the only thing you need to see of that movie. But you're welcome to see it. It streams on Amazon Prime. I saw it and I was like, okay, well now I can check it off the list, but it wasn't anything transcendent.
Yeah. But I actually didn't think it was that bad of an acting challenge. It certainly was repetitive as shit and erring on this edge of tedious. But even still, I thought that it was... I enjoyed most of the Queen's performances. And obviously, this is a byproduct of me being ignorant to these old gay camp classics that an old gay has yet to show me at an after party in Palm Springs. But I didn't feel inspired to watch any of these movies because none of the references or acting seemed engaging or interesting. It just seemed like RuPaul trotting out all of his old shit like usual, you know? And RuPaul's DVD closet is a great place to peruse, I'm sure. Yeah. But I have my own in an ever so long list. I haven't even seen Maverick yet.
That's really good. And it has a lot of basic white gays. I mean, God, I can't believe you haven't watched it yet.
How dare you?
Not gays, basic white guys. Yeah.
Well, no, because you think that I'm into I'm not into no Miles Teller. I can't stand that guy.
No. He's not. No. But like a Tom Cruise or a Glenn Powell?
Well, Tom Cruise is a Tom Cruise. God forbid anyone has to hear me talk about that again. But Glenn Powell, ever since I said it out loud, he's been showing up on my Instagram Explore page. And nope, that motherfucker's ugly. Sorry. Get fail.
Yeah,
in the words of my mother.
I saw a tweet. Get fail. I saw a tweet the other day from a friend of mine. And you're not a gay, but he and his wife saw, I think, Hitman. And they're like, it's confirmed. Glenn Powell's the next movie star. And I hate to break it to you. He's a very good actor. Don't get me wrong. And he's very good in Hitman. But he's missing that X factor.
The je ne sais quoi.
He's missing that je ne sais quoi, right? And he just doesn't have it. And I'm sorry, Glenn Powell. I'm very sorry, but he doesn't have it.
Sadly,
And,
I feel that way about most of the queens on this season. I like them all.
Yeah,
they're
you're
adept,
right.
but none
You
of
know
them are
what?
my favorites.
You know what? You're right. He's an All-Stars 9 of actors. He's the All-Stars 9 of actors. He is the, Nina West of actors. I'm going to go through this list really fast and give you the headline for you.
Okay,
Valley of the
thanks.
Dolls, camp as fuck, amazing to watch with. Valley of the Dolls is a great one to watch with that zaddy you're waiting for to show you at an after party in Palm Springs.
I think that is the most likely one I'll be seeing on the list.
Mildred Pierce, legitimately a fantastic movie.
I've never heard of it, actually.
Oh, it's with Joan Crawford. Actually, they did a mini series that was truer to the novel because there's obviously so many events in the novel that they don't cover in the movie, and that was with Kate Winslet, I believe.
Okay,
I think it's on Max.
I watch Titanic twice a year.
Oh, so maybe you might want to watch the Kate Winslet mini-series version. But Mildred Pierce is just a one-time movie with Joan Crawford. Fantastic. There's slaps. There's this. There's that. And you're like, oh, the whole time. Great. All About Eve. I mean, it's one of the best movies ever made. So it's campy and one of the best films ever made. Fantastic.
I think that would be the second most likely one for me to watch.
Boys in the Band, guys. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I wouldn't even call it campy if I'm being honest with you. But if I would only watch it if you're interested in queer cinema history. I don't know if it's necessarily super interesting, actually almost offensively homophobic. And
I'm more likely to watch something offensively homophobic. That's funny as shit.
Oh, then you should watch. It's definitely a relic. Definitely a relic. And
Ew.
Yeah. The Mirror Cracked, as I said, wasn't that good. Showgirls is fine to see with a bunch of gays, as is Mommy Dearest. And Dynasty, I sort of have the same feelings about. It's like, I've seen a couple episodes. It's fine.
It's fine. I mean, obviously, everyone loves the outfits the most. And, several people's drag names have originated from there. It's a great place.
On the show, Taylor and I mentioned certain landmark gay films that are landmark for RuPaul's Drag Race that you need to have seen. Mommy Dearest.
Yeah.
Paris is Burning.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mentioned a couple others I knew at the time. Were there any that we missed? Showgirls is one of them, I think.
Showgirls was one of them. Oh, if only because Michelle Visage speaks in, she talks about showgirls and she talks about seduction. Like, give it up. Am I going to be 55 years old just continually talking about the things that I've been talking about since I was 20? Probably.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Why do I even ask? Obviously. I mean, obviously, I'm no great queer cinephile, so I don't know. I'm much more interested than I have actually acted on that interest, but nothing's really not that RuPaul references all the time.
Yeah.
I think if we had a host who was 20 years younger, then I'd say we're going to have to hear Legally Blonde references all the time. We're going to have to hear Clueless references all the time. We already do, honestly,
Yes.
Eventually, I mean, it already, like, everyone's spoken in Mean Girls quotes nonstop since I was in 7th grade. So, that would be expected, I guess. But those are really just all, and I don't use this derogatively, but those are all just like chick flicks. There's really no semi-modern, like, queer story that, I guess, if you want to make Brokeback Mountain references, I guess. Saltburn nowadays.
I have to plug this movie.
It's not really
once
queer.
Again. A French film called Stranger by the Lake is genuinely very good. It is a thriller about a serial killer at a nude gay beach. There's fucking, there's hot guys. It's very, very good. Very good. I think Robert, it's not even campy. It's just a genuinely good film that takes place at a gay nude beach.
The last movie I've seen in that vein starred Scott Evans as the murderer, and we hoped that it was going to be a fun, campy romp, and it was just bland.
Oh, interesting. No, check out Stranger by the Lake. Very, very
You know what you should check out, actually? I sense that we're nearing the end. Drag Race Mexico Season 2 is the moment.
Oh, it's dropped?
Yeah, it dropped a few days ago.
How are the new hosts?
I like Tyga. Obviously, I miss Valentina, but the truth of the matter is that she was not... I think I said this last week possibly. But if RuPaul no longer hosts Drag Race, I don't give a fuck. I'll still watch Drag Race. If Valentina leaves, I'll still watch Drag Race Mexico. And I dare I say it's maybe even better than season 1. They don't have Regina Voce, so it's never really going to be better than season 1, but it's good. You should watch it.
Who was the straight one that Eddie kept giving all the prizes to?
Christian Peralta. And I went back to rewatch the entrances for season 1 to just see how, everything started. And even still, whenever I see Christian get on the confessional camera, I grit my teeth and I'm like, ugh, it's this one again.
Now you know how the audience feels. All right, guys, we will...
I set you up for that one, Mama.
Yeah, thank you. Slow pitch. We will see you guys next week.
Toodaloo.
Thank you.